As the Trump administration cuts budgets and programs across the government, it has passed over a little-known but highly effective program in the Department of Energy that catalyzes private investment in critical energy infrastructure. Here to tell us more about what's happening in the Loan Programs Office, Holland and Knight's Taite McDonald. Ms. McDonald, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Terry. Really looking forward to being here.
The federal government operates a number of loan guarantee programs, some for builders, some for small businesses, some for homeowners. But I bet most people don't know that the Department of Energy has one of these programs as well. Can you start by giving us an overview of the Loan Programs Office at DOE?
So the program was actually created around 2007 through previous energy legislation and was very active from the 2009 to 2011 period and a few other times thereafter. But it is not known on a very wide-ranging basis because of the fact that it has been intermittently used throughout the years. I think the best thing it is known for is actually the Tesla loan. So the program actually gave Tesla its initial loan for around $500 million in 2009. And that really is what jump-started Tesla. So that's what it's most well known for. But because of the history of times when it's been used versus times when it's been dormant, it's really not well known across the United States today.
So what kind of programs are in its current portfolio? Tesla's an interesting place to start, but it's got some open projects now, right?
The program was really reinvigorated under Biden and really at the end of the last Trump administration. A lot of people don't understand that. They think it is all Biden, and that's what's led to this very robust portfolio we have now. But it really started in 2018 during the Trump administration, when the Trump administration pre-COVID started to look at the program again for two things: onshoring manufacturing in the U.S. It can support any innovative and lower energy onshore manufacturing in surrounding energy areas. But really what's important for that is that if you're going to develop a manufacturing facility today on anything associated with energy, it's automatically going to be lower GHG emissions, and that is what qualifies for the program. So that is why the Trump administration started looking at it for its onshoring efforts in 2018, and then also for critical minerals. And then there was also a loan guarantee for a conditional commitment and a renegotiation during the Trump administration for nuclear facilities.
So when we say loan guarantees, this organization isn't actually making the loan, is it?
It is. Okay. So loan guarantee is actually misleading. So what occurs is the U.S. Treasury makes the loan and the DOE guarantees the loan. So the DOE does all the review, but it really is a government loan. It's just technically a guarantee because of that structure.
And it's a government loan because it might be too risky for the private markets, right?
Absolutely. But really, and the program did go through some risky transactions in its infancy. But since then, the program has been de-risked through more sophisticated underwriting measures. And so it is risky, but folks have told me it's the best of the unfinanceable. It's really the only loans that can get through the loan program. So it's not significant risk to the taxpayer. The program currently actually makes money for the U.S. taxpayer.
I'm speaking with Taite McDonald. She's the co-chair of the Energy Transition Industry Sector Group and leader of Holland and Knight's Energy Technology Funding and Finance team. So what's different about how the Trump 2 administration is approaching the loan program at DOE from how it started in Trump 1?
During Trump 1, the program hadn't been used to its full capacity since around 2012 to 2014. So when Trump came into office, it wasn't fully up and running. Now, due to the efforts in the Biden administration, the program is fully up and running again. So now what they are realizing and looking to do is really use the program to address this unprecedented load growth that we have ahead of us in the electricity markets, as well as the other critical sectors that the administration speaks about on the campaign trail and speaks about now. So I would say the four key categories are grid resilience and ensuring we have a strong grid, Nuclear, they are looking at clean coal now. Geothermal will be of interest, as will critical mineral onshoring for national security purposes.
Are they taking applications at this point? How do people who have these kinds of projects in mind get connected to the Loan Program Office?
They are absolutely taking applications right now and have continued pretty seamlessly from the Biden administrations, but they will focus on different types of applications and encourage applications in the areas that align with the Trump administration's objectives. But it is through the standard process through DOE. There is a process where you reach out and talk to them about whether you would be a good fit. It has to be a de-risked, nearly financeable project. The project has to be ready to take on debt. It can't be too early stage of a process. Is really the key. Of course, there's about 100 other, maybe 1,000 other requirements, but the real key is that you need to be nearly financeable.
Shovel ready, almost.
Yep, exactly. De-risked, and most of the projects that move through the program are not 100% de-risked to get through a very stringent bank's credit committee, but are 90 to 95% de-risked. So that's really the sweet spot of the program.
Now, in some of the early Trump administration EOs, haven't they put a pause on the application process to be able to review what it's working on, what the current projects are? Where are we in that review process?
Absolutely. I was going to mention that before, and this is critical. There was a 90-day review at the beginning of the Trump administration that outlined the areas they would like applications and like to focus moving forward. So that paused essentially some of the processing of the applications. That 90 days was January 20th through April 20th. So we are past that now, and we are now moving forward to what the Trump administration is actually going to execute on and use the loan program for. I will say the other thing I have to bring up is the staffing, because there's a lot of questions about whether staffing will get gutted through other DOGE executive orders. We are also through the DOGE executive order review, and they have settled on efficiencies that can be created in the program to be able to use it moving forward. We've also gone through that process. From what we are hearing, it is going to be adequately staffed to process applications moving forward, despite what some say in the media on this point.
Well, this seems like a program that would be on the plus side in DOGE's ledger, so to speak, if it's actually generating income for the federal government.
Exactly. And that's what the Trump administration does. Can hear it through public statements from Secretary Wright and other Trump administration officials that they realize the value of the program because it aligns with not using grants and taxpayer dollars through a grant process, but instead through a process that you pay the loan back. The other critical part of the loan program in particular is that to make loans, you actually don't need the full amount from the federal government. There are risk premiums assigned to each loan, so it is a very small amount compared to the full amount of the loan. And even with that process, because the low default rate, that is why this has been a revenue positive program for the federal government as a whole.
So what do potential applicants for these kinds of loans need to know right now if they're thinking about getting into grid resilience or nuclear power or critical minerals?
Great question, because a lot of folks think, especially some of the narrative out there in the loans that were closed at the end of the Biden administration, that this is a quick and easy process that you can move through. It is absolutely not. Even with some streamlining that we do think will take place through the Trump administration as a result of DOGE's efforts, even through streamlining, we still do think that this is going to be a very arduous process, just because the need and the underlying statutory requirements to de-risk the loan and create that net positive value to the taxpayer. It is a burdensome process that does take time to get through. It is not something you go in and get a loan in 30, 60, 90 days. The fastest they can really process applications is about 9 months, and sometimes longer. Sometimes they take 2, 3, 4 years. But we do expect some efficiencies, but it still will be a process that protects the taxpayer, I think is the best way to put it.
And even longer to get the actual projects completed, but you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.